it is trending with Victoria. Remember, it comes your way every Sunday. And yes, before we head to the first story, have you subscribed? If not, what are you waiting for? Please go ahead and subscribe. And yes, I am Nanozi Victoria. In case you're new here, let's straight away dive into the first story that comes in from the United States of America. That is from the service where a memorial and funeral service were held for the late Chadwick Boseman. Now, it is a week and 1 day since the late Chadwick Boseman passed on, and yes, this is what happened at his funeral service.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to this celebration of life for a native son, Chadwick Boseman. He meant a lot to a lot of people, and I'll share some remarks in just a moment. In a little bit to our special guest that we're about to hear. I spent some time with this young lady just a few minutes ago, and she's very special to the Boseman family. She'll talk about that. But I want to introduce to you Deanna Brown Thomas, the daughter of the Godfather of Soul. Deanna.
To God be the glory. Look at the beautiful day He gave us to come together. First, condolences, heartfelt condolences to family of Mr. Chadwick Boseman. Say it loud. Say it loud. You know, there's been so many great things said about Chadwick Boseman. When he got the role to play my father in Get On Up, he came to Augusta, Georgia, spent the weekend with us, sat and spoke in long conversation with my mom, who was portrayed by Jill Scott in the movie, me and my sister, and other family and friends. Because he wanted truth. He wanted to get truth. He read, he studied. He said he studied, he saw so much footage, but coming to Augusta, Georgia, to sit down and talk to us was the key. We teased him. We told him he was a little too tall to be the Godfather. But he laughed, we laughed, and he said, he says, but this is your family's history. This is important to your family and your family's future. So we got to get this right. We got to put as much truth to this as we can. And he did. He did that. And he did it at an excellent level, because to me, he is the epitome of black excellence. How could he play those roles and be ill? It's a testament of his faith. It's a testament to how he was raised. He was given the right foundation. So being in Hollywood was no phase to him, because he knew whose he was. And it's no cliche that he was spiritual, because you saw that in his speeches when he spoke. You heard it. He talked profoundly. You saw the hand of God on this man's life. He exemplified the power of God moving in his life. We are here, aren't we? Because of Chadwick Boseman, because of what God placed in him and what he gave back to all of us. We are here. He stood boldly. Can you imagine the weight he carried? Playing the icons he had to play, learning and doing the research of the icons he did. Forget about the artistry and what you saw on the screen. He had to take in everything. But I'm going to make y'all proud. And God knows he did. He made us very proud. When I met him, he was just coming off, of course, 42. But when he came to Augusta, he was just dressed in his jeans and t-shirt. It wasn't Hollywood, and I love that about him. It was just Chadwick from Henderson, South Carolina, wanting to know more about the Godfather of Soul. So we spent time with him, taking him around, showing him where Dad grew up, where he went to school, where we lived, where he had businesses. Told him different things about Dad's mannerisms and little nuances, and he took everything we told him and he used it because we saw it. To give you an example, there's one part in the film towards the end where he's got a red suit on and he's walking down a hallway headed to the stage from the dressing room. And I tell you, he had that walk. He had that James Brown stride. But I tell you, every time I see it, I chill bumps. It amazes me how this young man just threw his whole mind, body, soul, and spirit in everything he did. And it made me feel good that he didn't waste that trip coming to speak with us. He took everything we gave him and used it. We miss him in the natural. It hurts. When I saw the information Friday night, Mayor Roberts, I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep Friday night because I looked at him as a younger brother, although he played my father. He kept in touch with my son. Him and my son worked together on the film. And he would say, you know, Mom, this dude's cool. He's not here for all of that Hollywood stuff. He's here to be real and true to the character. He told my son, he says, you know, people gotta work, they gotta come here and make their money and take care of their family. He learned from the Robinson family, from Mrs. Robinson, from who told him about Marshall, and from us. And Black Panther, our first superhero, black superhero. The weight that he had to carry, knowing what he knew about these people. I didn't know Mr. Robinson. I did not know Mr. Marshall. But I knew James Brown. And I knew what he put in, what Chadwick Boseman put into that role. Was all of the blessing that God put in him. All of the talent and skill that he took the time to learn. The inspiration that he is to these young kids out here all over the world, of all colors, of all races, of all cultures. 8 years old and a young boy having a funeral for his superhero, Black Panther. That's gonna go with him for the rest of his life. Chadwick Boseman will be with us for years and years and years to come because he's gonna live in these little children. There's a Chadwick Boseman out here right now. God bless his soul. God bless his life. God bless his wife and family, mother and father and family, and God bless his community, because this is love. This is love. This is respect. And you showing the young children just what to do when you have someone like Chadwick Boseman give his life and do what he did, exemplify excellence. This is what we want our children to see. This is why we want to honor him. In Black Panther, there was a line from Michael B. Jordan. Is this your king? Yes. This is our king. God bless you, Chadwick Boseman. God bless you, Anderson, South Carolina. Thank you.
Wakanda forever. We shall always remember you for that and so many other things. And yes, rest in peace. A second story comes in from the World Health Organization, which came out and said that 220 million vaccines of coronavirus are going to be tested on the people in Africa. Now, this is a drug that they have been working on for some time, and
the World Health Organization declared that 220 million COVID-19 vaccine doses will be tested in Africa, distributed based on population size. COVAX is the 9-candidate vaccine initiative seeking to contribute to the equitable distribution of the trial doses worldwide.
This will not necessarily cover all the needs of the continent, but at least will cover 20% of the African population, initially prioritizing those who are at the front line, the healthcare workers, then expanding to cover vulnerable groups such as the elderly or those with a pre-existing condition.
He also shared that all 54 African nations have expressed interest in participating in the initiative.
From the Equatorial Guinea perspective, I think the government position has consistently been that all effort to contain the pandemic in the country has to be free for all citizens.
Not all Africans agree, however, as back in April, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said Africa cannot and will not be a testing ground for any vaccines.
People in Africa are still saying Africa is not a testing laboratory. This comes after a few months when the WHO still came out to say that they are going to come up with drugs that will be tested in Africa. Some Africans still stand by their word and say that Africa is not a testing laboratory, and these this vaccine should not be tested in Africa. Why? Because Africa has had the least death of coronavirus. Like, why should they test it on us Africans? Why should they force on us something that we do not want to take in? And yes, we have the least death, we have the least people who have been affected by this virus. So saying that we are going to be a testing ground is really wrong. Why don't they use it on the Western people? Because yes, some people are willing to take it in, and just of recent, the people in America came out to say that they also do not want the vaccine that has been talked about for some time, because people are complaining about these vaccines, that they are going to affect people in one way or the other. So why would the African society be the first people to be tested. And in their statements, they say that they'll start with the vulnerable people, the old, the what, but that is something that I also stand and I say as an African that we are not a testing laboratory and that these vaccines should not be tested on us. Number 3 comes in from Uganda, and that is from Kamocha, where Bobi Wine or Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu or the ghetto gladiator came out to clear the air about his age and his results. And while making his statements, he said that he jumped a certain class, and yes, he gave us a detailed background about his education and his age. It comes
while I was at Bukalaji in P6, my father went and requested Mr. Kato, the headmaster of my former school, Kanoni Catholic School, to allow me register and sit for P7 exams. I therefore spent my 3rd term of P6 in P7. I registered and sat PLE in 1992. My father was advised that in order for my age to match with that of other candidates, including my elder brother Julius Warakira, who was sitting PLE at Bukalaji the same year, he needed to increase my age by 2 years, and that is when my year of birth was altered from 1982 to 1980. Despite sitting PLE without studying P7, I passed very well and went to Senior 1. But I would continue with this anomaly in my age throughout my education, both at Senior 4, at Senior 6, and at university.
At a time when he was sued by a certain lawyer who goes by the name of Male Mabirizi. And yes, after explaining all that, he was issued with a court order telling him that he has to appear in court on 16th September. This is this very month that we are in. But trust me, I know he will overcome this because he totally gave us more information about him, which we needed to hear so that we know his stand as a person who wants to stand for presidency come 2021. And the number 4 still comes in from Uganda, where the former Attorney General, that is Rukutana Mwesigwa, came in with a gun trying to threaten some people while they were in his constituency. Now, this happened on the day that they had their party primaries in their different district. Yes, he was standing on the position of MP in the area where he is still an MP, that is in Rushenye. So while they were in the primaries, he went ahead and found some people and threatened to shoot them. And yes,
Rukuta naryo nakustera masasi you people. Rukuta naryo nakustera masasi muje kabu. Basi vuga tugende. Vuga tugende speed.
Yes, he was also arrested with some of his assistants or his guards who are at the scene when all this was happening. It is so bad that someone who is a former Attorney General, a lawyer by profession, can do such a thing. An MP, a member of parliament who represents people, can do such a thing. It speaks much about his mannerism. Just some few years ago, he went ahead and he was invited in the lands committee, and he said that they cannot question him. The only person that can question him is God. What kind of manners are those? What kind of person are you who threatens people? You who cannot be told that, you know what, you are doing something wrong. That is, I think, something that, him in his capacity, he's not expected to do. But anyways, what should we do? He did it, and yes, good enough, he was arrested to show that, you know what, no one is above the law, not even him. And that leads us to the last story, where the National Resistance Movement, that is the NRM party in Uganda, held party primaries, and they were very violent primaries. And in these primaries, many ministers, yes, current ministers, lost their seats. Those are the MP seats, or the member of parliament seats, to new members. And yes, some of them are bitter about it, like Honorable Anite, while others considered with defeat, saying it is what it is. These elections included a lot of violence. So many people were hurt. There was tear gas. There were different things that took place that were violent. There was someone who was burnt because of these elections. Some of them were stopped because in certain places people were violent even before they started voting for these people. And they are also not held scientifically. Yet the president of Uganda, who is, by the way, the flag bearer for the National Resistance Movement and the chairman for the National Resistance Movement, came out to say that in Uganda, elections are going to be held scientifically, but their own party primaries were not held scientifically, because people were seen lining up behind people, which kind of voting is actually not even good at all, because it leads to it leads to people being intimidated. Imagine someone coming to you and telling you line up behind the other one, or you fail to line up behind the candidate you want because you don't want to be hated by your village mates. You do not want to be hated by the other person. So really, there was a lot that took place in those elections, and I hope that when we walk to the 2021 elections, we don't have to go through such things. That has been me, Victoria Nanozi, and it is trending with Victoria. Remember, it comes your way every Sunday. I don't know what stories made your week this week. Go to the comment section. Please share them with me, and let's have a chat about these stories and many more that you feel I have not been able to share from any part of the world. See you next week.